Welcome to the GOODNITE Show, featuring your host,
Jordan Geske. I'm still tweaking like my ice cream recipes from the very first one that I've created. Even though I really, really like some of them, I'm still thinking like, wow, like it can be better. Yeah. And so it's like small tweaks, adjustments, and just like continuing to try to improve. If it's not on the flavor, it's on efficiencies, it's on supply chain. There's so many different dynamics.
I'm watching a TV show right now called, I believe, Knife's Edge. Have you heard of that?
I have,
it's about the Michelin-star restaurants.
Yeah.
And
is it on Netflix,
one thing that stuck with me, it's on Apple TV.
Apple TV.
And one of the things that stuck with me was they talk about to get a Michelin star, each star is like a certain amount of notes on a single plate, right? Mm-hmm. You should be able to pick up different types of tastes and spices and whatever it is, right? And I was like, damn, that's like Ryan's doing a good job. Like, I'm buying breakfast sandwiches, and every time I get it, I'm like, this is worth its weight in gold. You've been knocking it out of the park, but you do that. I don't think there's anything that I have tried from you guys that I haven't loved. The cookies, I meant to text you and be like, hey, bring a couple cookies.
I definitely could have. Yeah.
Those are unbelievable. And then the ice cream as well. Maybe you should do like an ice cream sandwich with those two.
Absolutely. Yeah. I did an ice cream sandwich for the ice cream festival.
Oh, did you?
That was in July, but it wasn't like the big chunky cookies, because that would have been a little bit like excessive on the ice cream sandwich. It would have been like this big.
Yeah. You could have probably done like a ice cream bowl with the size of those cookies, like carve it out like a butter bun or whatever, you know?
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. Warm it up for 30 seconds, carve out a little hole, and put a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top, and it'll melt into the cookie. Oh, there you go. Beautiful, beautiful dessert. Yeah.
Let me know if you're testing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. It's like when you add one component, you're like, how can I also use this component for like another dish, right? Yeah. And so like, who doesn't like a warm cookie with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top? It's like, that's actually going to go on the menu like next week, right?
That's funny. We're just, you came in here and we were instantly saying, you're like, oh, I just keep adding stuff to the menu. It's like, right away you're like,
and then now
idea.
Just like item number 55 has just been added to the menu. No, we got a small space, but we try to do what we can with it, right? And it's like, we're not like going in like 100 different directions either. Like, we have a lot of items on the menu, but they're all within their own categories, right? So it's like drinks, breakfast sandwiches, ice cream, and baked goods. It's those four things. And so we're not doing any other savory foods other than breakfast sandwiches. We got 9 breakfast sandwich options. We got a handful of these chunky New York style cookies, some loaves, ice cream, and then your typical cafe drinks. And so we kind of found our lane where it's like, okay, everyone loves a good breakfast sandwich, but let's expand on it, right? Yeah. Let's take some of my experience from working in Europe under the Michelin-star chefs, and not necessarily bring it forward on the presentation level, but on the flavor development level. And so it's like, how can I add little notes behind the scene that will really lift the flavor of the overall sandwich without actually being able to pick up those notes individually? Yeah.
I don't think that there is anywhere, at least in Calgary, and I've tried so many places, that hit your level on the breakfast sandwich. Like, I think your breakfast sandwich will be my marker as a 10 until someone comes out here and has some new crazy idea, but it'll probably just be you at this point.
But that's my focus, I'm not even right? Like, that's my focus. It's breakfast sandwiches, right? And like, so we started, like, I started almost 3 years ago, the cafe. And at first I was like, I want to do like something new that's not seen at cafes. And so I was doing like empanadas, breakfast pierogi bowls. I was doing like frittata, like a bunch of different dishes, and I was going in all these different directions. And I had a breakfast wrap, a breakfast sandwich, and I was just like, ended up like burning myself out. I was chasing my tail, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And then at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Like, everyone loves a really good breakfast sandwich, right? And so like, how can we do the best breakfast sandwich in Calgary? And so it's like, okay, well, first of all, we got to bake our own bread. we got to make all the sauces because sauce equals flavor. And then all the components, whether it's steak, pulled pork, pastrami, everything needs to be made in house. And from one thing that you learn as being a chef is you have to taste each component. You need to make sure it's seasoned properly. You need to make sure that it's got it's been, seared, or it has the Maillard reaction. So you're getting all those additional flavors and everything going onto the palate. And at the end of the day, it's like you just focus on that one thing. And eventually, if you continue to focus on that one thing, it's going to be great, right? It wasn't spectacular at first. Like our first breakfast sandwiches were good, but it's like, we've been doing that for a year, almost 2 years now. It probably was about a year into the cafe when I really switched and decided to just focus on the breakfast sandwiches. Mm-hmm. And so 2 years doing the same thing, like surely you're going to make some improvements, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's like look, probably 2 years down the road of running this podcast, there's going to be a lot of improvements, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. From our first podcast to this, like our first podcast, we were shooting on like a white wall and like it was, yeah.
It's a really nice setup in here. When I was coming along, they got the logo, you got some plants.
Yeah. It's pretty
nice
cool.
Equipment.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. But yeah, and that is the thing. I was actually just reading, have you ever read Malcolm Gladwell's The Outliers?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So he talks about that a lot in many different forms as well, right? It's like one of the biggest things that make people stand out. It isn't innate skill or innate ability. It's like their background, one, which we're going to dive a little bit into yours, and then two, the time used to prepare yourself, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of studies on showing like somebody who works, most people, when it comes to math problems, they use like 5 minutes and then they're going to give up. They're going to move on or they're going to guess. Yeah. But if you can spend 20 minutes, they say that you'll always basically get it. And then once you get it once, you're never going to run into that problem again, right? And that's something that's like, you should be able to use that anywhere in life. Right now, I'm like very busy because I'm doing probably too much.
Yeah.
But we're hiring a lot. So I don't wear as many hats as I used to, luckily. But I do miss the time where I was like a graphic design company with a small photography outlet.
Yeah.
And I had time to learn all these things that I now do because that's all it was. And then I was fortunate as a kid to be in like all these like extracurricular like multimedia courses my parents would put me in, like photography, web development, stuff like that. Growing up all the way from like elementary school to high school, I was always doing like summer camps and stuff after school and stuff like that.
And just wearing all the hats really helps when it comes to hiring too, right? Like you've done the work in the different positions, and so you really know what to look for.
Yeah, and understanding the like integral parts of every process to be like a true operator of a business or even just like a CEO, it takes like the integral understanding. So like it's interesting, but I do miss being able to spend more time on like one craft. And I think you definitely take it to like a whole new level as like an art form, which is really cool. Yeah. So why don't we dive a little bit back into what you were talking about just there earlier? Because I think it's cool. I've been learning about some Michelin stuff from Knife's Edge, which is an all right show. I don't really like. You tell me how close it is to what you think. Yeah. Because I think when I watch it, I see something different.
Have you watched The Bear?
Let me know. Yeah, so that's what I think of when I think of a Michelin-star restaurant.
Yeah.
Right?
The Bear's an interesting dynamic because they have like a lot of montages of him like in like 11 Madison Park, which is a 3 Michelin-star restaurant in New York, where the head chef is just like over his shoulder and he's just like, you're a piece of shit, right? And like whatever you do wrong, I'm gonna like just destroy you, right? And so that's obviously like from my experience, that's a little bit dramatic, but it's a TV show, so you expect it. But by all means, there's definitely some Michelin restaurants out there that are exactly like that. But yeah, my experience was intense as well, but a lot of fun along the way too. So like, first of all, like I didn't grow up aspiring to be a chef or a restaurant owner. I grew up in Lloydminster, Alberta, right on the Alberta-Saskatchewan border, 5 hours northeast of Calgary here. Oil field and agriculture. That's what Lloyd is all about. So graduating from high school, those were like my two options. It's like, well, I don't really feel like being a farmer. My grandfather has a farm, and we spent a lot of time out there, but I was always like drawn more to like the big cities, and loved going to Edmonton, loved coming to Calgary when I was younger, and just wanted to pursue something bigger than being, in the agriculture business. But yeah, so I decided to go into oil and gas because there was a lot of money. I was 18 years old. I was like, wow, I can go and work in the oil and gas industry and make like $90K a year with no education, right? And at that point, I was just like, okay, I want to travel. I want to do some things. It was just like at the point of my life to just explore a little bit, right? So I went and worked on the rigs. I was working on the service rigs as a roughneck. I did that for a year, and then I had some friends on the drilling rigs, and they were like, hey, man, you should come over to the drilling rigs because they work shift work. And so you can work 2 weeks on and then you get a full week off. And the pay was even better than the service rigs. And so then you could, instead of working like a 5 and 2, you're working 2 weeks on, 1 week off. And then on the 1 week off, you go travel, do whatever you want, right? So I did that. And like between the service and the drilling rigs, I did that for 2 years. Saved up some money. But at the end of the day, I like looked at, I looked a little bit further out, and I was like, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Do I want to be a rig hand and then move on to be like a consultant in the industry? And, that would have been a decent path. I probably would have made a lot of money, but there's more to making money. And so anyway, so one of my friends and I were, shooting the shit one day, and he's like, man, we should go to school. Like, why don't we go study to be an engineer? I was like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. Let's look into it. And so we ended up, applying to go to NAIT. And I honestly, I didn't take school too seriously when I was in high school. I graduated like, I don't know. I can't even remember if it was like ABC back then or if it was like percentages, but let's just say it was like 60 to 70%.
Yeah.
Not enough to get into university, let's just say. So, I was like, okay, if we're going to try to get into this course at NAIT, we're going to have to like upgrade our high school marks. And so there was an upgrading program at NAIT. So you could go for 1 semester, upgrade your math, English, and science to get into these other programs. And so, really flipped a switch in my head. It's like, okay, if I'm going to be pursuing this and I'm going to be paying to pursue this, like I want to take it serious, right? And so we moved to Edmonton, a friend of mine and me, and we did the upgrading course, knocked it out of the park, got accepted into the program. And then, fast forward down in Oklahoma with my engineering degree, worked there for 3 years, Texas for 3 years. So at the end of it, all within studying, working on the rigs, and then working as an engineer in the States, I had been in the oil and gas industry for like 12, 13 years. The bank account was climbing. Things were looking like comfortable, right? But I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. I was like, it ended up being just like the daily grind. And it was like working for someone else, away from my family. My family's all in Alberta here. I was down, the southern part of the U.S. And I was just like, you know what? Like, if I really want to do something that I'm passionate about, now's the chance to take this opportunity. So I kind of started looking at some different options. My parents are like great cooks. My relatives like to cook. We come together as a family around food. And I always enjoyed cooking for my friends in college. I know my one friend Cooper went to Montana Tech with. He'd always be like, Chef Trotz, are you going to cook up some dinner for us tonight? I'll buy the beers. And so I would always be cooking for my friends at school and stuff. And I just thought that, food and hospitality is just such an important part of the society, of bringing people together, right?
It's big. And I feel like that's not as well thought about in like North America as it is in other parts of the world, like Europe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Because those countries have these food cultures that go back thousands of years, right?
Yep.
And it's really a part of their identity. Where in Canada, and that, that's the difficult part of living or like with this industry in Canada, because in Europe, South America, Asia, they have like these long-standing culinary traditions. And it really is a way of life, and it's a way of bringing people together. In Canada, we have like a lot of restaurants that want to do a catch-all, right? So they want to do sushi, pizza, burgers, and pasta, right? Because
smorgasbord,
a smorgasbord. And I'm not like going to talk negatively towards these restaurants, because obviously they're doing it because there's a market for it, right? Like, we have a multicultural society. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a little bit of everything on the menu, then like you can bring all of your friends and everyone can get something that they like. Mm-hmm. But you lose out on like really going for something great, right? Like, you can go and get a good meal at Cactus Club, Joey's, those like major chains, but it's never going to be one that you like write home to mom about, right? You're going to be like, wow, like I had the best.
I feel like at Cactus Club, no matter what I order, it tastes like butter. They don't have anything else going on.
Yeah, which is good. Like, everyone loves butter, right? Like,
it is.
Like, like you can get good food from those restaurants, right? But it's the same menu across Canada, right? Like, it's nothing that's really going to be like, wow, like I can't believe they were like working with this farmer over here, and like they were really just focusing on doing this one thing and doing it great, and they have a story to tell and all those things. Like, that's when I got into food, the thing that interests me the most was like the storytelling behind the food. And that's what they do well at like the Michelin restaurants, right? And so back to what we were talking about before. So had enough with my engineering degree, wanted to pursue ultimately food. And so I took an opportunity 2019 to just take a year off work. And during that time, I wanted to travel, but I wanted to travel to learn about food, right? So I at that point, I was single. I had a house in Texas, and I had my engineering career. So like, sold my house, sold my truck, packed up all my stuff into a storage unit in Texas, and I bought a one-way ticket to Asia. And I was just like, called my parents. I was like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to take off for a little bit. And they were supportive. They were like, yeah, it sounds great. I mean, seems like you really want to pursue this, and just keep in touch. And so, yeah, I traveled around like 25 different countries around the world for a year. And through that time, really opened my eyes on a lot of things. Like, first of all, like how happy people can be with so little, right? Like, I'm in the Philippines, I'm in Indonesia, I'm in Malaysia. I mean, a lot of these like Southeastern Asia countries, and these families are just like the happiest people that I ever met, welcoming like me into their homes, cooking me food, and I'm some just stranger off of the street, right? And you know, they're so rich with their culture and their family and their friends that they don't need the little things, like to be distracted by a cell phone.
It's definitely the minimalist life is like something to romanticize for sure, right?
Yeah.
And like you do realize when you go traveling, it's like, oh wow, I don't need all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, but at the end of the day, you get like sucked back into the Western culture.
Really
you're like, you come back, and at first you're like, yeah, I'm going to get rid of all my stuff. I'm only going to live with a few things. And then you're like on your phone, it's like Amazon. It's like, oh, well, I could probably use that actually. Like, and it'll be here tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah. And then every like year you got to like purge all your stuff and go into Facebook Marketplace, and it's like, I don't even have time for this, so just come take it. I don't want it anymore.
I'm moving right now, and I am the worst with like, oh, it'll be here tomorrow, click. And you can ask any of my employees, all the boxes that show up for me here every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, time to purge. Every time I move, I purge everything. So continue.
So yeah, traveled, had some amazing experiences, met some amazing people, had an opportunity to really decide like, okay, which direction I want to go with this whole food thing. And ultimately decided, okay, I need to go to culinary school. Like I felt like I was a good cook before, but I didn't understand like cooking as a business, right? And so to understand cooking as a business, I wanted to go to culinary school, and then I wanted to go work in the business afterwards. So I was shopping around some different schools. ultimately ended up going to a school in Vancouver called the Pacific Institute of Culinary Arts. Great little program. The thing that really attracted me to them was they had like an accelerated program where you could get in and out of there in 6 months, some longer, more intense days. But they had some amazing chefs that were running the program. And so I did that. Chef Ben was the chef that I was training under for the advanced portion of the program. And I sat down with him. We got along really well, and he really pushed me, which was great. And I sat down with him near the end of the program, and I was like, hey, man, like, so this is what I want to do. Like, I want to get into the business. Like, I want to open up my own restaurant as soon as possible. At that point, I'm like in my mid-30s. I didn't want to make this change and then go work as a line cook for like 5 years and then, just like work my way up in a restaurant. It's like I had a goal of like opening up my own restaurant. And he's like, okay, well, like if you really want to do this, then go to Europe and do a stage, which is an unpaid internship at like a Michelin restaurant. And he'll like, they're going to work you as hard as you've probably ever been worked, but you're also going to get the most experience. Right. And so I had like, fortunately, because I had worked in oil and gas for those like on and off 12 years with my study including there. But yeah, I had some money saved up in the bank, and so I could afford to go to and do like an unpaid internship. And so I was finishing up my program, and I was just like searching Michelin restaurants, best restaurants in the world. So there's a group of like chefs and food critics that put together this world's 50 best, and that's like separate from Michelin, but it's often like more the credentials are a little bit harder to get onto that list because like the Michelin-star program, there's thousands of restaurants that have Michelin stars, but this specifically looks at, you don't necessarily have to have a Michelin star to make it on this list, because not every city and every country has a Michelin guide. So for example, there's no Michelin guide in Calgary, so it doesn't matter how good your restaurant is, you're never going to have a Michelin star unless you have a Michelin guide that comes to Calgary. Michelin just came to Canada a few years ago, and they came to Toronto and Vancouver. I think they might be in Montreal now. I'm pretty sure they're in Montreal now. And so like maybe in a few years we'll get a Michelin guide here. But the world's 50 best is like the kind of the cream of the crop. Like if you make it on that list, that's like the best that you can achieve, right? And so I was looking at, okay, all of these restaurants that have made it onto the world's 50 best. I'm looking at Michelin-star restaurants, and I'm just sending them my resume, my cover letter, but I'm not just like throwing them the same thing. I'm looking at these restaurants, I'm writing down specifics about what I'd like to learn from them. And this was before ChatGPT, so I was actually doing this. And I was putting together cover letters for each one of these restaurants. I sent cover letters specific to 50 different restaurants, and I heard back from like 2 of them. And one of them...
That checks out.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. and one of them was owned by Massimo Bottura. His restaurant, Osteria Francescana in Modena, Italy, was the #1 restaurant in the world on the world's 50 best 2 years. And so they're now like they can't even compete in that awards ceremony anymore because they've already won it. And they told me that they would take me on as an unpaid intern at their sister restaurant that was a little bit more casual, but just down the street from Osteria Francescana. Tasting menu, all those things, still fine dining, but like more casual than the 3 Michelin star, like ultra fine dining stuff. I was like, great, sign me up. So I go down, I have to get like my visa to go live in Italy for up to a year. I arrived there, and like before this, I was working corporate engineering, right? And like everything had processes, and like there was onboarding, and like, you'd sit down with HR and they would like ask you some questions before you come on. So they just told me, okay, show up to work, bring your knives. And so I show up the first day in Italy, and like I was trying to do like some Italian lessons before I was going there, but you know, it's hard to learn a new language in like a month. So I like picked up a few phrases and stuff, but fortunately, it was like an international restaurant. So like a lot of the people spoke English in there, and they knew I was coming from Canada. They knew I didn't probably speak the best Italian. So anyways, I show up there and they're like, okay, here's your apron, or here's your chef's jacket. Let's get to work. And so from the first day, I just remember I think the schedule was like 9:30 until close.
Yeah.
And close is like 2 a.m. or is like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, okay, like, and at that point I was like, okay, I'm ready to work. Right. Like whatever they need me to do, I'm going to do it. And so they start me out on the sauces, and so I'm working the sauce station. There's another intern working at the restaurant as well. He's working the bar. So at the bar, they were doing like some starter dishes for the customers and stuff like that. And but it was very simple. It was like cutting the prosciutto and the different cheeses and stuff like that. And then his internship, and so I was doing like the sauces for a few days. And I go, oh yeah, this is cool. This is interesting. And then the other intern that was on like the meat slicer, he finished his internship, and they're like, okay, Ryan, you're on the meat slicer. I was like, oh, sweet. This is gonna be great. Not happy about it, but I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'll do it for a little bit, right? Because like, I'm not going to complain. Like, you guys are giving me an opportunity. Like, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it, right? But then it was like 2 weeks later, I was still on the meat slicer, and I was just like making these small little welcome dishes, and like it's separate from the kitchen, and so I wasn't like in with the crew at the kitchen. And I was like, wow, this is not that great, actually. Like, I'm not learning anything. And at that point, I started looking around for other opportunities. And I was like, I'm not going to sit here and like be on the meat slicer for like 2 months and not learn anything, right? It's like, if I'm going to be working for free, I want to learn something at least, right? And so like I started looking around, and there's some other restaurants that were also looked like they were incredible restaurants. One was in Venice. I went to Venice. I talked to the chef. He's like, yeah, I'd love to have you on. You can come here. We'll give you room and board, also unpaid. And then I went back to Modena. So I was in Modena, Italy. It's in like the north central region of Italy, just north of Bologna, kind of inland east from Florence. And come back, and I was like working a few more days there, and then the chef, the sous chef, ended up like cutting his hand really bad one day, like cut it right to the nerve. They had to rush him to the hospital, and they come back and they're like, yeah, so Mauro's out, like he's gonna be out for like 2 months. And we're gonna need you to step onto the line.
Well, that's like, the third part from Outliers is opportunity.
Yeah,
just being available.
Exactly.
Just being available.
Exactly.
Which is it's hard to do. You had to take your own money and take an unpaid internship on the other side of the world in a place where you barely knew the language because you only had a month to try to learn it, and you had to do some stuff that wasn't really what you were looking for months to find an opportunity. And that's one of the hardest things to do.
And the opportunity came, right? Like I stuck it out, and the opportunity came. Like if I would have left, I would have had opportunity at the other restaurant, I think, but I don't know if it would have been the same quality. I might have had to start over, right? Like start over by like doing the basic stuff for the first 2 months. So sous chef's out, I'm in, and it's like go time, right? It's like, okay, like now's my opportunity to see if I actually have it in me to do this, right? So it's 9 a.m. to 12:30, 1 a.m., right? Yeah. So it's like 15, 16-hour days on your feet, go. Doesn't matter what you're doing, it can be done faster and better, right? And so like, but at the end of the day, like I kept my head down. I made sure that like, so we did lunch and dinner service. So you got there at 9 and you did your prep. So you made sure you're ready for lunch service. And then they would close the restaurant after lunch, and then we would do prep for dinner service. Because it was all like tasting menus and stuff. So it was like the same thing being ordered, but it would be like a 9-course meal. And so like I was on the main courses. So I was doing the proteins and helping out on desserts as well for the majority of my time there. And then I got to do the pasta station and stuff as well. But I got to see a little bit of everything, which was great. But at the end of the day, I really did my best to take it as serious as possible. And I knew that I wasn't as fast as some of the other chefs that was there. But they were out like taking cigarette breaks and stuff. And I was like, just had my head down. And I was like, okay, like if they're going to be playing, volleyball and taking a break, it's like, if I'm not ready for service, I'm going to make sure that like, I don't care. I'm just going to work through it and make sure I'm ready for service. And there was a few mistakes along the way. I got yelled at and cursed at in Italian probably like more times than I can understand what they were saying. But at the end of the day, like I made it work. And the head chef was like, wow, like I can tell that like you're taking this serious, and I really appreciate it, because like whatever he needed, I was there to help out. And ultimately, I ended up doing that for 6 months in Italy, and they told me, hey, if you want, like, you can stay on and we'll pay you. Like, we'll give you a position here, which was like seemed like a great opportunity, because it could possibly could have led to working in Osteria Francescana, which was the 3 Michelin-star restaurant, like best restaurant in the world. But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Like, this isn't my goal. It's not my goal to work for just to work my way up in a restaurant. My goal is to like learn as much as possible and then go back to Canada and open up my own business. And so I started over about like the same process I did before, emailing, sending resumes out.
Making another very ballsy move.
Yeah. So it's like, now I'm going to another country to learn about food in another dynamic, right? To see if I can round out what I've learned in Italy with something else.
You hit your head a few times before all of this. These are decisions that most people will not make.
I used to like be into snowboarding, wakeboarding, skateboarding, all of those like extreme sports when I was younger. So like I definitely hit my head a few times. But at the end of the day, I was like, I want to like round up my experience and see what else. And then I also had the name Massimo Bottura on my resume. So I was like, okay, now it's like, I'm not just some kid coming out of culinary school that's asking to work at your restaurant for free. It's like, okay, I have experience, and I have experience in one of Massimo's kitchens. And so like I started shooting my resume, and then I was seeing a lot more traction, right? But I ended up like wanting to focus on a restaurant that was Michelin starred, because I wanted to learn more about like the techniques that they're using to really produce excellent food, but one that was also doing it for a larger purpose. So I ended up finding a restaurant in the Netherlands, fine dining near the German border, that was focused on like the environmental impact of food. And their focus was, how can we serve good food that has the smallest environmental impact as possible? And so it was like predominantly plant-based, and it was hyper local. So they were like foraging out of like the food forest. They were working with all the local growers, and they were doing a lot of fermentation and different techniques to really develop the flavors.
You've gone on a spirit journey, which is a quite the 180 from being a petroleum engineer in the oil fields to plant-based food in the Netherlands.
Yeah, and it was just like they had an amazing story behind them. It was like, hey, like we want to not only make good food, but we want to make a good food that makes a positive impact on the world. I'm not plant-based, but I'm also like not against doing good in the world, right? And so it's like, how can I make an impact? And I think that's the great thing about food. Like food can make an impact in many different ways. You can make an impact just off of the communities that you build around food, but you can also make an impact on people's health through food, and you can make an impact on the environment through food as well. So there's many different pillars that you can play there. And I think at the end of the day, like if you're going to be working, 12, 13, 14 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, like there needs to be something that's pulling you that's more than just like, hey, I'm going to make good food. It's like, hey, I'm going to make good food, but I'm going to make a difference as well, right?
Yep.
And so that's what like really, really pulled me towards learning from that restaurant. 2 Michelin-star at that point. I don't know if they still have them anymore, but they were doing green stars. And so the green star was awarded to restaurants that were focused on the environmental side.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Of food. They might have stopped doing it recently, but I'm not too sure. It was night and day. I went there, and they like back to Italy. It was a gong show. Like it was organized chaos. There was always like some shit going on in the restaurant that like could have been organized better, and like it felt like it was
closer
just
to
like
the bear.
yeah, it was closer to the bear, where it was just like, oh my God, like every day we're going through this shit, and like I don't understand, why do we got to be going through this shit? And I'm just like some unpaid intern that doesn't speak the language, so it's not like they're like, hey Ryan, like what do you think we can do to like fix our systems here? And I'm like,
what processes could we work on?
Yeah, and I'm like a petroleum engineer that was all like into systems and processes and stuff like that. And I was like, listen, man, like if you want, I can help you to design, you know, some inventory tracking spreadsheet and stuff on Excel. And like these guys probably like have never used Excel in their life. They're like, I don't know, that sounds complicated, man. Like go back to like chopping some onions or something like that. It's like, but I went to then I went to the Netherlands, and like they were like, you know, organized proper, and like I saw a big difference between the two restaurants that I worked at in Europe, and they had just like a really good thing going on. Like the owner, he really cared about the food, the staff. You know, a big team, but like a big passionate team that really cared about each other. The working environment was a little bit less intense. Instead of working like 15 hours a day, we were working 12, 13 hours a day. So still intense, like you're still working hard. But at the end of the day, like if I didn't have that experience and I just went from culinary school to trying to like open up a restaurant, I would have been like, I probably would have collapsed with exhaustion of just like not realizing like how much work it takes to run a food service business. By actually going and seeing those
then being
operations,
the owner,
and then being the owner,
you're the operator full time.
Yeah. But it opened my eyes about like, what it really takes to make it in this industry. And it's not going to be day one, right? And like, it's going to be a struggle, and it still is a struggle sometimes, but you know, we're slowly making our impact in Calgary here. And it's nice. You start to hear people talking about you, talking about the food, talking about the experience, talking about your staff, and really enjoying the moments that they have at your cafe. And at the end of the day, like that's what matters, right? If like you can make someone's day a little bit better after they walk through your door, that's hospitality, right?
Every time I come in, you're talking to everyone. And I've come in quite a few times over the last couple of years, but you're talking to everyone, first name basis. You know everybody who's coming in. You have conversations. Oh, what went on with this? The last story from whenever the last time they were in, which is really cool. It's nice to see.
Yeah,
you don't get that from. You're going to Starbucks. You're not going to get that. You're going to Tim Hortons. You're not going to get that, right? I've been going to the same Tim Hortons for 6 years. They don't know what I have in my coffee. They messed it up yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't like Tim Hortons coffee, but it's the fastest thing from my house. I get an iced coffee made with milk and no syrup, and they always mess up one of those things because I don't want sugar in my coffee, and I don't want cream either. I prefer milk, and I mean like years of going, and that you're never going to get that service, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing I love about the space that we have. It's small, but it's intimate, right? And so like because it's so small, it would be like awkward if I didn't have a conversation with you, right?
Oh yeah,
like,
it would be.
Which is great though, because like we have a great customer base, and like you said, like we get to know our customers. And
well, and it's a great community too.
Yeah,
like it's a great community because there's great people in that community, but it's also
Yeah.
just like a great place in Calgary. Like you have an amazing view up the hill there. Like it's right by the Stampede grounds.
Yeah.
Like.
I got lucky. Like it was just by chance, you know how the universe works out sometimes. I was like, I moved after I was finished working in Europe. I came back to Canada, and I started working on business plans and all those things. And I was shopping around the market, and I was like, ideally I was like looking to have a sit down restaurant with 20 to 30 seats and all these things. And then I realized, oh shit, like this is going to be a lot more expensive than I was anticipating, because there's like a lot of shell spots open in Calgary in the inner core area.
Yeah.
But for like 1,000 to 1,500 square foot shell space, it's going to cost you like $200,000 to $300,000 to build it out, and that's like bare bones, right? That's nothing fancy.
Kitchens that the hood vent costs $200,000.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Yeah. And so I realized like, wow, that would be a pretty big step to just hop into designing, building out my own space after just going to culinary school and then like working in Europe for a year and a half. Like I had the experience, but I really didn't understand the business, right? Like I'm an engineer. So like I like to solve problems. But there was like, now hindsight is 2020. Like I'm glad I didn't hop into something big, because like the space that I have is small, but it has its own challenges. And I've learned so much through operating this space for the last 3 years. Yeah, ultimately one day, like I'll have a larger space with, you know, like full service, whether or not it's fine dining or what I go into.
I look forward to that day.
But I think so. Like, I don't know. Are there any places in Calgary that do like a solid tasting menu?
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of fine dining places like the Lake House and like
a la
stuff
carte,
like that,
though, right?
Yeah,
like the cool
I
thing
think
about
the Lake
like
House does the tasting menu.
Do they?
Yeah, like might only be for certain events or days.
Yeah,
like Valentine's and stuff like that. A lot of restaurants will do something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah. I know my business partner went there for New Year's and they did like the 6 course. We're going to take you through all this stuff.
Yeah. Which is nice, because then, you know, it changes up with the seasons, right? You're working with local growers and producers, local farmers, and you're using what's in season, and you're really highlighting the dishes for what they can be, using local ingredients, which is like a dream of every chef, I think. But then, you know, trying to make that work as a business is more difficult. Because at the end of the day, your competition is the Joey's and the Cactus Club that have a catch-all menu, and they do well.
Yeah.
Because you can go there and you can get a good meal, but not spend a fortune. Like, I don't know. Everything's getting expensive. Even going up
Everything's
to like
getting expensive.
Joey's or Cactus Club, you're still going to drop like $100 for 2 people. No problem.
If I take my girl to A&W, I'm dropping $50.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because like I need like 2 burgers to fill up. Plus,
I was just
like,
at L Furniture Warehouse actually with Donovan, and I was like, "This is cheaper to get a beer and a burger here with fries with beer, so that's cool, than going to A&W."
Yeah.
So shout out L Furniture Warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's interesting. Like the prices are way up, but I feel like they're way up on like a lot of the lower priced places, and a lot of the restaurants have kind of held pretty steady. Like things might have gone from like 28 to 32, but some places have gone up by like $10 on every order. So
No, it's difficult. Like I do all the shopping, I do all the grocery shopping for the cafe, and every time I go to the market, you know, it seems like there's something that's went up in price, right? You're like, wait a minute, like I swear that was like $10 a kilogram last week, and now it's 12. It's like shit. Like,
I was listening to some economists even talking about like when prices went up from tariffs. Then that causes, it's a different type of inflation. I can't remember the word, but basically it's like Canadian companies, even small businesses, will just raise their price slowly up to what the American price is, because they know that that's like their competition, right? They're like, that's a standard. We'll make our way up there. So like these things have like long lasting effects on buying prices for like a long time, right? And it's very rare that people are like, oh, you know, let's go down in price.
Right? I don't think it'll ever go down.
Like, so this is something that's happened now, right? And it's interesting. So like, obviously they could go down when our dollar goes down, then our import will go down, and then the businesses local here will have to follow down because the import will go down, or else they'll lose sales. Right. So hopefully we can get a stronger dollar. But it's crazy to see. And like how does that affect you on the day to day, when like has it ever ruined your plans? You're like, shit, that's gone up too much for that ingredient? Or
yeah, I mean, with the cookies for sure, like chocolate prices have been crazy.
I heard that.
Crazy. Like I used to go to the wholesale club and get like really good milk chocolate, Belgian milk chocolate, and it would be like $50 for, or I think it was like $45 for 2.5 kilograms. And then it went up to like $80. And I was like, holy shit. Like now, and like The one thing is you don't want to make a cookie that doesn't have any chocolate in it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And I just
People
load it.
should
I just
take note of that.
load the chocolate in there, right? Like I want there to be more chocolate than you're expecting, then not enough. And then you start looking around for other alternatives for chocolate. And then you see this looks like a good deal. And it's it's compound chocolate. Oh, well, what's compound chocolate? Well, compound chocolate doesn't have cocoa butter in it. They use vegetable fats and stuff like that. And you taste it and you're like, oh man, this is not good chocolate. It has cocoa solids in it, but it doesn't have cocoa butter in it.
I've heard about this before, but I've never really understood it.
So it's not real chocolate, right? And so anything that's basically that's the price point of where real chocolate was before. So if you want to stick at your previous prices,
that's the shrinkflation. Yeah, where they're shrinking the good ingredients and things. It's happening to most ice cream brands have removed dairy for it. Yeah. They're basically replacing it with cheaper stuff. It's like turning butter into margarine.
But the way I see it is first of all, it's a business, right? So we have to run a business to make money. Second of all, I want to make good products. So if I have a chocolate chip cookie on the menu and I want to keep a lot of good chocolate in it and the prices go up, I'll take a little bit of the hit myself, but at the end of the day, it has to be some of it has to be passed on to the customers. And then sometimes you have to educate them a little bit. They're like, oh, wow, I saw that your price of cookies went up. And it's I'm sorry, but chocolate has almost doubled in price, and we didn't want to go to an inferior product. So we're going to pass on some of those costs to you guys. And we'll take a little bit of the hit, and then we'll see if we can make up with it with some efficiencies in the kitchen. So it's okay, can I get a better mixer to speed up the process or do bigger batches or something like that to cut on my labor instead of cutting on my products, right? And at the end of the day, if it tastes good, hopefully people are willing to pay the extra 50 cents or something like that. At the end of the day, it's if you're buying a cookie and you can go to Starbucks and get these piddly little cookie for $3.50.
Starbucks
it's got
is highway robbery.
It's got 3 chocolate chips in it.
Yeah.
And you'll spend an extra $1 to get this monster cookie with 50 pieces of chocolate in it.
Yeah.
It's just unless you're doing this 5 times a day, is if you're going to have a cookie once or twice a week, maybe just once a week, and it's going to cost you an extra $1, is it really worth it to try to save on that extra $1 to get an inferior product just because it's I don't want to pay $4.50 for a cookie?
Some of the stuff at Starbucks that you see, it's holy shit, why are people still going here? It's
crazy.
A cult.
It's crazy.
The one just
it's
by
marketing,
here just
right?
got closed.
It's marketing for sure.
And I'm happy because there's a really great little cafe that just opened across the street. So
is that Wave?
No, I hate Waves.
Okay. I just saw it. I've never
Waves.
been, but
no, not a fan of Waves. Waves has the smallest coffees for the most amount of money, and sorry about that, Waves. And then no, there's a little place called Semantics Cafe across the street that just opened. It's locally owned, and it's this family running it, and they're wonderful, and it's definitely a cool vibe in there too. They got a drum kit, they got good music going on all the time. They got the little VHS TV in there playing a new movie from the 90s every single day. It's pretty cool. It's a cool vibe.
Yeah.
So no, I was happy when I saw the Starbucks closing over there. I was nice, because the people should try this other place, right? And I want to see more of that local stuff. When I was doing commercial real estate, it was hard to get some mom and pops into certain places, down in South Calgary. If you look at Shaughnessy and Chaparral and any of those strip malls or big malls they have down there, they all have the exact same tenants in them, right? And they're all just they're all anchor tenants. You know what I mean? They're all really big franchises and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas you want a little taste of everything else. Right now I'm moving. I live downtown, and behind my house is Korean Village, which is the first Korean restaurant to ever open in Calgary. And it's authentic Korean barbecue and soup and bibimbap bowls and all this stuff. And it's me and my girlfriend go there, and the first time we went there, we ordered so much food because we didn't actually understand the menu.
Yeah.
So we ordered so much food. They came up to us and they're like, "We have to move you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sorry, why?" And
like a
they're
new
like,
grill,
"We
'cause, like-
bought you bought too much food." And they put us at this huge like 8-person table, and they kept bringing these dishes and dishes and dishes. And I was like, "Oh!" And the day manager comes out and he's like, "You have a lot to eat." And I was like, "How long do I have?" And he's like, "I'd prefer 4 hours."
You just created your own like tasting menu, right?
Yeah, but
like,
I feel like those are the best places to go.
Yeah.
Are like unique places.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
Like,
we
it's a
love
new
creating our own
experience,
tasting
right?
menu.
Yeah.
That's what we do everywhere.
Yeah.
We go and we go and we try something.
Yeah.
Once a week, I take her out to somewhere, and I'm like, we're buying the menu.
Yeah.
Like we'll get like 2 different soup bowls that we're gonna share with 2 entrees each and an
Nice.
appetizer each. And it's like we're not gonna eat it all. We're gonna take it home, but we're gonna try our best. You know?
Yeah, and I think Calgary is doing great.
Oh, yeah, there's some wicked
lots of
spots.
amazing spots popping up
Mm-hmm.
all over the city, and I think there is like more people interested in the small, unique, independently owned businesses, right? Like,
Well, and it's probably in the long run like better for the economy and better like here you are, you have like somebody who's creating a career and a job for themselves, who's then going to hire people, who's probably going to be better to their employees than these large franchises as well. They're probably going to take better care of them. You look at places even like Prairie Dog, who they pay they say, well, we pay a living wage.
Yeah.
So like they even say they have a sign when you go in that says you don't have to tip.
Yeah.
Right? They're waitresses at this brewery, and it's there's so many cool things that come out of that. And then the people are passionate. Like when I think about my employees, like I want to make sure that they're good, right? You think McDonald's is thinking about that?
No.
McDonald's is looking at you as a human asset.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So it's like I really wish that more food would pop up. And I think Calgary is cool. There's the food court downtown that I'll never shut up about is First Street Market. And they have like 7 little shops in there that they're all like different stores from around Calgary. I think they all have their own like brick and mortar basically or restaurant. But all of them are great. Like actually pretty good pizza. They have that K-Town chicken. Like there's so many cool Calgary restaurants in this little food court. And I'm like, that's sweet. That's sweet because they didn't fill this food court with Opa and Sbarro and Edo Japan, right? And like that's what should happen. But it's also really expensive to rent those places.
But it's good exposure for for them that do get spaces in there, right? Because there's a lot of foot traffic in and out of there. You might have 1 or 2 established businesses in there that are drawing a lot of people. And it's like, oh yeah, well they're busy today. Oh look, there's this other place. Let's try it out.
100%.
It's like, oh wow, it's good. But it's risk, right? I mean, it's a tough industry, right? Margins are slim, labor is expensive. If you're not busy, you're burning through your capital pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I'd love to get into the downtown area at some point. Like we're close, being in Ramsey, like we're just a football throw away, but it's still a quiet neighborhood, right? And so, like we are a destination. If the weather's bad, we're a small space. We don't have a lot of room for people to come cuddle up inside and stay warm. And so like we still have our challenges with that. We're like in the core downtown, you're always going to have people coming in for work, right? And walking around the streets and stuff like that. And so like, I think it'd be cool to have another location, in the core here in the next year or 2.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Yeah,
I'll be excited for that time.
Yeah, maybe do.
Yeah, there's even some cool spots that are like right off the plus 15s where you have like basically little shops right off the plus 15s that are usually cafes and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's
just
great.
Like grab and go, right? Like
you're in a hurry.
you
You get like when I'm traveling downtown, I'm using the plus 15s to get everywhere in the winter.
Exactly.
Right? And I do it a lot. So it's like easy to just rip around, and then I'll pass like the Sunterra, and they have beef that's just fresh off the stove, just waiting to you to try, and then they get you with the sample, and you're like, oh, okay, I could be late to this meeting.
The plus. I wonder how much those spaces go for.
I'll send you a few.
Yeah,
they're fun. Yeah, they're not cheap, but they're more reasonable than being in like a mall.
Yeah.
Malls are expensive. Like Chinook Mall, like one of those spots is like 30-40 grand a month.
Really? Yeah. Holy shit.
I think it's like usually like
you got to sell a lot of orange chicken to like get, but those places are always busy.
Yeah,
so
you have a constant lineup of 10 people.
Yeah.
It's never not lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Man,
yeah, but
That's
then they
expensive.
also take when you're in a mall, they also take from your profit. You have to disclose your profit loss every year, and they take from that too. That's why you don't see any like mom and pops in the food court in the mall. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah,
right?
It's a big risk.
Yeah. It's like taking, and I think I put one in there once in my real estate life, and they wanted to take off of like just like full revenue. And I was like, you want to take 5% of this guy's revenue? He's a restaurant. He's got like a 30% profit margin. You take 5% of his revenue? I was
a lot of restaurants and cafes only have a 5 to 10% profit margin. So like right there, you're taking all the profits.
It's crazy. Yeah. So,
but that's where like being an owner operator has been like really important when you first start out the business, right? Yeah. Because like if I was paying someone to run the business, like to work as like, cause I'm an all rounder, right? So I'm working in the kitchen, I'm working front of house, I'm doing the books, I'm like doing everything, right? Yep. If I were if I were to hire someone to do all of that, like I would have probably never made it.
Yeah. And that goes the same like, for
and
me.
Now like, you know, we're starting to gain some momentum, and I'm looking at, okay, like now I can start to push those off.
Take off a few hats.
Yeah, take off a few hats. And
like, it feels nice, I'll tell you.
Step back a little bit, but not too much, because like
it's hard to step back. Delegating is like one of the hardest skills, I think, because you. I recently was. I've been learning to delegate. I've been getting better at it, and not nitpick every single thing to where I would take it to.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it's like you really got to focus. Like if they can do 80% of what you were going to do in your eyes, then you should not even bug them.
Yeah.
At 80%, you should manage that as complete, or you're going to be an operator for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And you can't expect them to be perfect, and you can't expect them to care like as much as you care, right?
Yeah,
like they're not going to care as much as you care, but they can care 80 to 90% as much as you do.
I'd love that.
And like at the end of the day, like I mean, you're going to have to just like step back and, you know, let someone, you know, take the reins a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Or else 100%. You're just going to like you make a lot of sacrifice. Like I got a wife, I got a stepdaughter, and I'm away from them a lot. Like fortunately, my wife works with me at the cafe. She's in the kitchen, so we get to spend time together, but I'm often like, you know, home late, out of the house early. Would like to spend more time with her. And
that was huge for me too.
And
like so. my girlfriend's worked with me for the last 3 or 4 years, and like I work a lot.
Yeah, and if you didn't work with her, you probably never would have seen her, other than like going home at the end of the night. And like, hey, honey,
I'm like I'm trying to turn off my brain at that point, right? So a lot of days I'm like, I'm just gonna go and play a video game or read a book, and so like it's good. Like I think like there's a lot of like hysteria around like working with spouses. People like,
I mean, it's challenging at times.
Yeah, it can be.
But at the end of the day, like I'd rather to work with her than not.
If you have a good relationship, I would suggest it. You know,
yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
If you had a bad relationship, don't get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it does test your relationship at times, but it can make it stronger as well.
100%.
And then at the end of the day, like, you know, she is going to care as much as I care, right? So it's like, now I have a partner there that does care as much as me, and you know, since we're working together, we're like, instead of using that money to pay someone, like we're taking that money home, right?
Yeah.
And so the money that would be going into labor to fill these 2 positions, at least it's coming into our household, so that we can pay rent to put food on the table for our 100%. Family, right? Yeah.
Hey, as a person who's traveled, worked in Michelin-star restaurants, been around the world, huge chef, are there 3 restaurants that you would really recommend in Calgary as like places to eat?
Oh, let me think here. Bow Valley Ranch.
Yeah, classic. Yeah.
Yeah, went there the first time for my wife's birthday this last summer, and was like really impressed with the quality of the food.
Yeah. Hey.
Big portions. Everything was seasoned well. I think we got like the surf and turf. It came out on this big platter. There was like all sorts of like amazing components to that dish, and just like a really cool atmosphere as well in there. I really love that.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, putting me on the spot. To be honest, like I don't get out that much because I work so much.
Right?
Yeah, so it's like.
What about Italian?
Yeah, I really like. For Italian, name some places.
Oh man.
Oh, what's I'm putting you on the spot too.
Thought of in names and places. I was just Scarpetta's downtown here. It's like nearby. Like they have like
been there.
Some really nice pastas there. So that was really good.
Yeah.
Donovan, what are some Italian spots? Chianti's. That was a classic. There used to be Cardinal. Is that still open over by kind of closer to you? Cardinals or Cardinal by right by Cowboys. It was like on the road going into Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
Little Italian restaurant.
Yeah,
there.
I think I drove by it a few times.
That was really good.
Chairman's Steakhouse.
Chairman's is good.
Mahogany.
Yeah, it's like, I think that's my business partner's favorite restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's where he's always trying to go.
It's such a beautiful spot.
Oh, yeah.
And the service, they have like proper waiters that have been like, they're career waiters, right? They've been there. They've been a waiter for like 20 years of their life. They really care about the service. That was a really good experience for us. Where else? I'm trying to think if there's anything like out in Canmore, Banff that really knocked our socks off. But
it's funny whenever I'm in like Canmore, I'm getting like pizza.
Yeah, it's like a busy day out on the slopes, and I'm just like wanting to hit the hot tub and like order pizza or something like that.
Is it Rocket Pie? I think is in Canmore.
Oh yeah. I
Really
was looking at a spot out in Canmore when I first was looking around to open up a restaurant. Then it's just like you can't find a place to live out there. Never mind like opening up a restaurant. It's like, okay, like now where do I live? I got like this lease on this restaurant. I don't have a place to live. So
they're looking at launching a tax on vacation houses in Canmore right now. Where it's like 50% more property tax. Like so it's like 1.5. So it's like pretty big increase. And that's to help with like the livability because everyone who works in Canmore like can't live in Canmore. Yeah. So you have to like have a bunch of roommates and whatnot, and that's like not
ideal when you have a family.
Adult No problem with having roommates, but yeah. So
but
it's interesting.
Haven't been yet, but I really want to check out Bar GG.
Oh yeah, Bar GG. Have you heard of is it Orchard?
Orchard.
Yeah. Orchard. Yeah, Orchard. I think it's in the new Marriott downtown.
Oh,
it's supposed to be gorgeous, and the food's supposed to be out of this world. Yeah, so that's
my goal for this year. To be honest, like I've just been working basically the last 3 years since I got to Calgary.
We'll send you a list.
Like, haven't made it out to as many restaurants as I would like to have made it out to. But this year, as I like start to take off some of those hats, I definitely want to like dive more into the culinary scene here because like there's always new restaurants popping up, and there's some really great ones. I just gotta
definitely
save up like 2 months to go out for one dinner, right? Yeah, because it's like kind of like you want to like buy the whole menu.
Yeah,
right? And so
I'm
it's like shit. This is a $500 meal. Yeah, but it was worth it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like meals are getting expensive too. I really liked Mr. M. I don't know if you ever heard of that. I don't think they're here anymore, but that place was awesome. It was like a dinner club. They'd always have like
I'd been there
the
before.
Sax player like walking around.
Yeah, we went
like,
there actually. Yeah,
turned
like
into
at the end of the day, they clear all the tables.
Yeah.
And like there's this like everyone's getting the bottle service. And there's like the
they
sparklers
got, like, the big
and
sign
stuff.
for the happy birthday.
I don't know. Did they go out of business or
no? I don't know what happened there.
We went there.
I think
Actually,
that they closed up.
Yeah.
It was probably end of lease or something like that. I'm not too sure.
Jazz Club in Mahogany, Alvin's Jazz Club.
Yeah, Alvin's
they actually have really good food
awesome.
there too.
Yeah,
we were really, really impressed with the food.
Yeah, Alvin's Jazz is awesome.
Them.
And they have good product photos too. I always see it on my Instagram, and I'm like, I gotta go back there. So no, that's good. Well, no, that's awesome. Well, if anybody watching hasn't tried Apprentice Café, should definitely try Apprentice Café. The breakfast sandwiches are good any time of the day, unless you don't serve them all day. But
yeah, no, we do actually.
Good.
Open to close. Like kind of like shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes, but we serve them like right to the minute we close. And so like every once in a while, you'll have like a group of people coming in at like 4:59, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll take like 5 breakfast sandwiches." And I'm like, "Oh god damn it!
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it."
Well, yeah,
but, so don't come in at 4:59, please. Like, come in like during the day. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
But
thanks for coming in and sharing the story.
Yeah.
And
thanks for having me.
I hope it sheds some more light on your business. And I know you're going to be in like our magazine and stuff coming up too.
Appreciate
so that'll be pretty cool. And then if there's anything else that you need, let us know. We're always here to help out. And
well, you guys helped us out when we were first getting started there. We had some grant money, and we really appreciate the support there with some of the early social media stuff. And really, impressed with the growth that you guys have been seeing here. And so keep up the good work. And a year from now, you'll probably have like a big green screen here, and you'll be shooting like having Matthew McConaughey or something.
We're looking at new sets already. So
nice. Yeah. Well, I'll have to come on again in a year. Yeah. Hopefully when I'm launching my next restaurant.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you were, last question, if you were gonna open a restaurant in Calgary, what do you think it would be? Would it be like a certain culture, like
Italian? Yeah. Like I know it's overdone, but there's a lot of cool stuff that I could do
I think you'd knock it out of the park.
That hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
Obviously people love our focaccia for the breakfast sandwiches.
Delicious.
And in Italy, there's like a lot of really good focaccia pizzerias that they make the pizza on focaccia.
There's a few places in Calgary doing that.
Do they? Yeah. Okay.
Portland
nice.
Pizza, Cold Beer and Pizza, great name.
Nice.
Shout out to them again. Yeah.
So maybe like a pizza and wine, but we'll see.
I'll be looking forward to it. I'm cheering you on for sure.
Thanks.
Thanks again, Ryan.
Yeah, you bet.